Hi everyone, good afternoon, and welcome to the Fall 2025 seminar series uh, presented by Graduate Student Community. Today we have our speaker, Mr. Kaiyan Mistree. Uh, More about on him later. First, let's take a look at our GSC leadership team for the academic year 2025-2026. We have our co-chairs as Rodney and Samuel. The publicity is handled by Swapnil and I. We have Siavash as our treasurer and our wonderful big support team consisting of Zareen, Louis, Roshan, Rachel, Nurayan, Anshu, Mohammad Sadiqur, Suramya, and Viva. And we all work under our mentorship of Farooq Mistry. We have our regular meetings on Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. So the meetings are usually held on Zoom. So if you want to be a part of the leadership team and join these meetings, please contact Samuel or Rodney, and we can adjust the time according to the availability of all the members. To become a member of GSC on Engage, you can just scan this QR code and log in with your OU ID. It's as easy as it is. Then we have a LinkedIn page as well, so you can become a GSC member on there as well. So just scan this QR code again. Do follow us on our socials, Facebook and Instagram, for all our upcoming events. We also have a YouTube page where we upload all of our seminar series talks. So in case you missed any talk or you want to rewatch something, you can check the YouTube page out. Also, for the GSC leadership team and its members, we have Dave and Susan Bird team room, and that is available to use. So it has all the basic amenities you need in a place to hang out or just work on your own. So email us if you would like to access. A quick reminder, during the talk, we will be giving a link to the Google form for the sign-in sheet. So please do fill out that. It helps us keep a track of the attendance for each of our talks. So please. So this fall, we have a theme for all of our seminars, exploring research frontiers with generative AI, the issues, the methods, and applications. Generative AI is reshaping research, industry, and society. But how do we use it responsibly? This fall, the GSC seminar series brings together leading voices from academia and industry to explore that. We seek to feature speakers who address one or more of the following themes: how people can work with generative AI to create intellectual, economic, and social value and connect these domains. The second is research issues, methods, and applications that arise when people collaborate across research, industry, and community. The third is ways for people to design generative AI initiatives that link academic inquiry, economic innovation, and social benefit in ethical and equitable ways. We have upcoming webinars. On October 8th, we have Vishal Singh from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He will be answering the question, are generative AIs and LLM reshaping human computer power? On October 16th, Dan Fisher and Heshuan Liu will be trying to address the question, will AI make or break engineering careers? And on October 23rd, we have ASME Lightning Talks on the topic of engineering and AI. A quick reminder, we have GSC meet and greet for the graduate students tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. in REPF 200. Food will be provided. So if you're looking an opportunity to just get involved in the student leadership at the graduate level, please come and meet us. It will be a fun event. So without further ado, we have today Mr. Kaiyan Mistree. I'm delighted to introduce someone who's building the future of real estate intelligence in the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council. Our speaker here combines 15 years of real estate expertise with cutting edge AI innovation. What makes Mr. Kaiyan's work truly remarkable is that his company, PX, propX, has secured an exclusive partnership with RELS. It's the UK-based intelligence platform trusted by global institutions like CBRE and Invesco. This makes propX the only platform in the entire GCC area with access to the institutional grade technology. Um, while most of the property tech focuses on surface improvements, Kaiyan has built something fundamentally different. The decision backbone that the region's massive capital influx has been missing. And the Dubai Land Department is already collaborating with him through the Real Estate Evolution Space initiative to develop what he calls the AI Real Estate Deal Navigator. And this isn't theoretical. propX has been quietly operating since August 2024 and transforming decisions that used to take weeks into real time intelligence. Today, he will share how generative AI is moving from theory to practice, creating a new paradigm where real estate intelligence becomes truly collaborative and future ready. So, please join me in welcoming someone who's literally building the infrastructure, defining the next decade of Gulf real estate, Mr. Khan Mistry. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, guys. That it makes me blush, uh, and hopefully I can deliver on all of your impressive experiences and what you guys are building out at your own end. Uh, Thank you for having me. It's extremely exciting, especially in the field of real estate. I've been in real estate for the last 15 years, and the last 2 years has been as an entrepreneur, building an AI platform based in one of the best cities in the world, which in my opinion is Dubai. Uh, Tonight's core claim, if I can say, is in real estate and most high stakes domains, winners aren't those with the most data, in my opinion. They're those uh, who can reach a defensible decision fastest, right? At the end of the day, data's all over the place. Uh, you have lots of silos, it's unstructured, it's fragmented. And the way you can derive insights the fastest gives you that cutting edge. Uh, we like to call this, in my opinion, time to confidence. That's something, that metric to me matters because in the fast-paced world and ecosystem that we're at, that is your defensible moat. So I'll walk you through the architecture and how we've deployed our product in Dubai. Our pilot project is Dubai, and next year we'll be launching in Saudi as well. So it's pretty exciting. What used to take months and weeks and numerous people, we're able to do in matter of minutes and giving you accurate decision quality. I think everything you see tonight is reproducible and relatable to each of your domains. So asking the fundamental question, right? How many of you have, watched a deal, an opportunity slip away while people argue over spreadsheets, while you argue over what's right, what's more, what works? And it's made you sort of think there has to be a better way to do this. And especially in the last 3 to 4 years, when the buzzwords have been AI, a lot of people don't even understand what that means, and whether they're wrappers around existing technology or whether there's technology which has been around for many years, but people have not been able to harness it. And I think the gap between I think and I'm sure enough to act. I think that's the hidden tax on your P&L in a business and your reputation. So tonight, I wish to eliminate it with process, no heroics, no replacing folklore. It's just pure data, right? So overall, with the session, the way I wanted to structure it, I wanted to tell you the entire story in one slide. Um, the reason why decisions don't happen, you have to understand the challenge. And in today's day and age where everything is available at your fingertips, the biggest issue that you have is fragmented data, right? And if you have fragmented data, not only is it slow, but at the end of the day, can you trust that data? Is it the correct information? And what do you do with that, right? It's all static. So insights and deriving insights to me is very important. So the solution that we've worked on, we ran our pilot and then decided to pull a business move, which I'll talk ahead, was we come up with four primary pillars or metrics by which we develop the AI agents that we're building. One obviously is the brain. The big gap in the market right now also is memory, and a lot of limitations is around memory and depth of that memory. The third angle is tools that you can harness with. And then the last are the guardrails that you set in place. So all of this is excellent. Information's excellent. Data is excellent. The tools to extract information is excellent. But if you don't have the right guardrails in place, a lot of things can go wrong. I mean, so in that sense, I think that governance piece is something that a lot of people overlook or don't realize the implication to it. The proof that we have is the deal we signed. So we ran our pilot, we built our own platform, and then we said, what's the fastest way to market? And that was to crack a deal with the number one data and analytics company in the UK called Realize. They're used by the British government, they're used by Blackstone, they're used by CBRE, etc. So it's institutional grade, battle tested technology that we will be localizing and reinventing in this region. So that's how we decided to sort of pivot our business model. And touch wood, it's been a fantastic ecosystem so far. And the benefit that you get out of doing all of this eventually is obviously the intellectual benefit you get, the economic benefit that you get, and of course the social side. So the key here, in my opinion, is how do you uh, use technology to collaborate? So that's in a nutshell what the lecture is about. A quick thing about me: people who've been on my last lecture. Uh, Born in Houston, Texas, at Farouk and Janet's house. I'm Farouk and Janet's nephew. Uh, Lived in Bombay most of my life. Studied at Ohio State. Uh, Got into architecture. That was my education. Went into corporate jobs. Hated every second of it. Then decided to do an MBA and hated that as well. Uh, uh, Much to my uncle and aunt's dismay, I absolutely hated studies, right? And for me, I love business and I love solving problems. I then was fortunate enough in India to join a high growth real estate startup started by some school friends of mine in India. We raised around $150 million by the millionaires and billionaires of India, exited that after 5 years. But the journey that I had over there was scaling from zero to one and building out from a team of five to a team of 300. So that was an incredible experience that I hold and I cherish today. I then went on to relocate to Dubai, as I mentioned, one of the best cities in the world, and started working in the real estate industry over here. Then decided I had enough once again, didn't like corporate culture, and said, why don't I do something on my own? So that's when I got introduced to prop tech technology. I realized in all my past jobs, I was obsessed with efficiency. So that's how I started thinking if I love technology, if I love real estate, why can't I combine the two? So opened up my own brokerage in Dubai, started building small sort of products, platforms, tested the B2C angle, tested the B2B angle, did an entire AI-driven MLS, one-click button, get an entire presentation, get the analytics, and then close deals effectively by empowering the end customer to find the right decision and information and then do the deal. I then met some of my other co-founders and we decided, why don't we pivot and get into data analytics? Because that's what The traction that we got, the product market fit that we got was more on the data and analytics side because that was the gap in the market. And we've just doubled down on that. So I effectively, I would say in the last 4 years, basically taught myself AI through and technology through execution, right? Doing it with my two hands, figuring it out, building companies, learning on the job. I am a firm believer of self growth and self learning. And if you need to figure something out, you figure it out. So at PX, for me, it was about combining this multidisciplinary foundation. And that's when generative AI really made us question and think. How to transform real estate intelligence in the region. And for me, I'm biased towards things I can measure, I can reproduce, and I can execute and ship out. So, real estate in general is one of the oldest and legacy asset classes in the world that are the most traditional and haven't really evolved much. Now, a lot of players today uh, are trying to introduce technology, but at the end of the day, real estate is an emotional decision. Real estate is um, you need that human interaction. So when you layer on technology, a lot of stuff gets lost in translation. So despite being 15 years in real estate, having an architecture degree, having an MBA, I found myself overwhelmed searching for property in Dubai. So I can own, and yes, it's one of the most dynamic markets in the world. But if somebody who has 15 years of real estate experience gets intimidated with trying to find real estate, I cannot even fathom what would happen to people that aren't in this journey. So that's when we started identifying, the buyer journey, right? So the way I broke it down was you have buyer confusion, which is the first 3 months where you're trying to understand what's going on, which then goes into buyer frustration because you have to deal with multiple agents, multiple brokers, multiple parties, multiple property viewings, and then of course the whole negotiation over the deal. So the problem isn't lack of data, in my opinion, right? The problem actually is the time to confidence metric that I mentioned, right? The interval between I think and the interval between I'll act. And I think that to me was where we really needed to compress that interval and that metric to win more, argue less, potentially serve clients better, right? That those are the three forces in my head that really drove the matter ahead. And to govern the time to confidence, what do you need, right? You need speed, you need signal quality or quality of data, and you need information or explainability, right? You need to understand those. The moment you align with that, the question shifts from, what's the data telling you to what's the next move, the insight. So from having static data to having being able to extract insight for a action, right? So imagine that you've got sort of how do you figure out what the source is? When you get the source of the data, how do you transform that? How do you create the definition that you need? And then how do you build the trust to be able to convince somebody to take that? And then, of course, closing it at the end of the day. So you come in armed with knowledge, you come in armed with information, you come in armed with the choice. And then after that, you move into closing the deal. So the problem really eventually was data silos, lots of noise, inefficiency from decision making. So you had all your fragmented data. Again, you had too much noise. There really isn't any rigorous due diligence process. And in addition to all of these mega issues, you then have deal inefficiency where will the deal go through? You've put in all the effort and then it doesn't convert. So, how do you address that? The addressing part comes into where you have the latency of all the manual analysis that you have to do, which obviously is prone to error. And you have the silos which you've put together that don't really sort of work with you. And then you have trust, which is the biggest part of this entire equation. And real estate agents or even end customers juggle various sources. So not only online portals, not only human agents, not only Google's website, Reddit's, layer that on into you don't know what your return is. Is your investment going to go up? Is your investment going to go down? And then layer on the entire government machinery where you really don't know what you're going to get hit with, right? Especially when there's ambiguity when it comes to regulators and government. So the impact that we were able to get was from months and months and months of sort of being lost and abandoned. You're able to bring that down to within a week, 5 days to 7 days. You're able to take an informed decision. You're able to increase the data accuracy that you needed. And the other part was all of this led to deal closures not happening. So our approach effectively was we sought to normalize at a very early stage so you could build trust and you could dumb it down and make it idiot proof. We then understood what your requirements were, so we were able to lock in what your investment strategy or what your outcome wanted to be. Um, and using that with data and using that with logic, connecting the two. So really what happens then is that you're armed to take a decision. So when it comes to automation and agents, I think for me, the five metrics that you can see over here, there's behavior when it comes to an element of automation or an agent. You have memory, you have tools, failure, and what it's best for. So not every solution means you have to layer on an AI agent, right? Very simply, low tech is good tech. So you can do it with a simple automation, which does the job. At the same time, with AI agents, there's still limitations with the depth within which they can go to. So you can ask the question and it'll answer it immediately. You ask the next level of questions, it'll still answer it with less accuracy. You ask the third level of information, it then gets a bit lost. And then the fourth level of information, it goes wild. And that's the current technology complex that, or the problem that everybody's facing. Even though everybody says we've got fantastic AI agents, we all are just testing out to figure out how to get them from just being a pull data source to actually start thinking. Because what they're doing is they're actually not thinking, they're not really intelligent. You're just overloading them with a whole host of a database and data. And the moment they can't pull more data from it or they can't create inferences from that, that's when it struggles down. So, how do you come up with a hybrid system of when that AI agent goes into that loop, plug in automation to then solve it and get it over the hurdle, and then go back to the AI agent to take that forward? So, let AI handle sort of the information retrieval, the calculations, the packaging, and then layer on the last element, which you can never get rid of as of now, is the human side where the human handles the judgment, the negotiation, and the accountability. So it really is this hybrid, low tech, high tech, human hybrid approach that we are working with, which effectively eliminates the frantic search, gives you the value prep, creates the formats that you need, and gives you the choice to choose. So, as I mentioned, to me, it's primarily all about the brain, which is the LLM. Everybody knows that. That helps with your reasoning, that helps with your planning, that is the language generation that you need. Uh, but memory is where all the issues start to unravel. And that's where, in our opinion, what we're building right now is really starting with 50 AI agents that are specialists that we're focusing on. So instead of creating a generalist AI agent, you have one agent specifically good at one task and let them do that task. So whether one is research, whether one is finance, whether one is putting presentations together, whether one is studying the market and giving you the analysis of it, whether one is the regulatory expert. So instead of creating one AI agent that knows everything, we've made specialist AI agents to know that one particular in-depth space. And that's what we've been testing, and that's what we've been getting great responses with. With regard to tools, of course, this is the low tech side of things. However, what we've also integrated and what we're integrating as well is everything through a mobile device. So yes, everybody can do this on a computer, but when an agent or somebody who's looking to buy is on the go, they can talk into their phone. The phone then sends it to our platform. The platform interprets the data and then gives them an output. So it really is rethinking how to make it agile, how to make it quick and seamless for the end customer and end user. So the shifts in effort from wrangling data to making the decision, we are trying to just make it more decisive versus having more debates. And I think that to me is the really interesting part, which is what we're seeing. Now, of course, when it comes to the methods that we use, etc., nothing, there's no, I would say, no innovation here. These have been around for quite a while, but it's about how do you structure it? How do you put it together? How do you get all of them to communicate with each other? I think that is important because if you're not able to track constantly what's going on in the background and it's not logged, to me, that means it didn't happen. And then, it doesn't really work out. So being able to really have a close hand of all this integration working together, I think that's what is really interesting that's going on. Now, the crazier part to me, which is something that I am extremely passionate about, is the guardrails. Not many people well, people are looking into this, there's no doubt, but in real estate in Dubai, they actually are not. And that to me is really scary because primarily, I would say over 160 or 180 billion dollars worth of real estate transacts every year in Dubai on WhatsApp, on phone calls, and if you're lucky, you'll get an Excel sheet. There are three metrics that they operate on: price per square foot, capital appreciation, rental yield. So deals are happening. But that doesn't mean technology cannot make it better. And I think designing anything with AI has to have this compliance integration in place because otherwise it can really run wild. So being able to validate your inputs, being able to put in fact checking, vetting sources. It's we scrape data from multiple platforms. We cross check it with government records. We're able to then connect dots between various departments. We've integrated with the land department. We've integrated with the Dubai municipality. We've integrated with the road and transport. So really, when we put together an investment case of I have a plot of land in this area, what should I build? And that's what you type into the platform. Um, it then puts all these, I would say, guardrails into place to figure out what the risk mitigation would be. And that to me is where the game really changes because nobody has connected all these various data sources. And to me, that filtering of that is and the insights that you derive from that is where it really changes the game. So coming to effectively what's the pipeline? You have raw data that I mentioned that comes from all these different government sources and regulatory bodies. It comes into our platform where we normalize it and we connect the dots. Once we normalize it, where it's retrieved and it's put into reason where you ask your questions, and then the tools take over for what you want. It acts on it, and then the human verifies it, and you get it. So to me, that's how we've set it up. And specifically for us, as I said, we have around 500,000 annual listings that happen. We've integrated 15 years of transaction data from the land department. Every single property is mapped in, every single unit is put in. And based on that, we then have our outputs. Whether it's your investments that you need, whether it's cash flows that you need, whether it's risk adjusted returns that you need to figure out, whether it's compliance on the actual project, the builder rating, the project construction rating, the timelines, the past history of the developer, all of this happens, which used to take months of research of analysts and teams, effectively happens within 3 minutes as long as you know the parameters that you want. And to me, that is what is effectively what we've achieved. So what we've potentially achieved so far is think of it as the Bloomberg for real estate. You go in, you understand what's happening on the market, you unify all this data that we've got, and then we effectively serve from brokers to investors to family offices to regulators and community and end users as well to put together this product. So the major question that we just kept on and going on about was how do we make this decision faster? How do we make it more accurate? How do we make it defensible? And how do we help you to take a decision? So coming down to your data, as I mentioned earlier, was we have done I would say, a top-down approach where at the macro level, we understand all the economic indicators, we understand the regional and global opportunities, we understand the trends, the policies, the Federal Reserve rates, everything that impacts on a, I would say, global or national level. And then we dumb it down into your micro level property details, whether the typologies, the locations, what's close, the amenities, area analytics, quality of construction, returns that's happened over the past 15 years, which also is really interesting for Dubai because effectively the ups and downs of the cycles have been so extreme that those outliers in itself cause a lot of decision paralysis in our modeling as well. So teaching it how to remove the outliers and focus on, say, the last 6 months or the last 1 year, and then extracting even more trends out of that is how we've been working. Uh, Obviously, looking into the rental segment, the sale segment, which is just your basic level of analytics of transactions, and the entire financial risk assessment. I think this is where the models and the deal we did with Realize is they had all their AVM models in place, which are already battle tested, which we've localized for the region. And the last two parts to me is the big factor in this region because sustainability is one of the core center features to the Vision 2040 of the nation, and to make this region the most sustainable ecosystem across the board. And every government endeavor that they're doing is primarily towards that. How do you make humans live better, live longer, quality of life, quality of construction, good with the environment, considering we are oil nations, that I understand there's that dichotomy. But there are rules in place for it now that to make it more sustainable. And I think that's interesting. And the last part is then you layer on the AI insights, making it as simple as typing in a question query and it giving you an output. It could be as simple as find me undervalued properties in Dubai Marina to as complex as give me a complete financial analysis of 20 buying 20 villas in this area for my investment committee, right? So it'll go to that level of depth and give you an entire presentation with a click of a button. So the localization and why I wanted to touch on localization is a lot of regions have different cultures, different processes, different regulatory methods, and everything is has in at least in the technology space has been based on for English, right? Or unless it's Chinese, then that's different. But in this region, there hasn't been a lot with Arabic. So being able to integrate that in itself causes its own complications that we work with. The second part is regulation. The great part about this region as well is whenever there's regulation that stops business, they actually have a department called the Future Regulations Department. You submit a business case, and what that does is they interview you, they come and ask, why is this rule or regulation stopping your business? And if they see merit in what you're doing, they then change the law. And I think that is so. For example, I wasn't able to list some properties on my portal, and I submitted a case, and they changed the law, and they then allowed AI companies to also be portals where you could list properties, and you didn't need a real estate brokerage license, which obviously was much more expensive. So they created a brand new category for us. So to me, that really I love that policy language workflows that you integrate with play a big role in what we do. Um, and then the outcome is how do we take a global battle tested product, fit it into local context, because we're able to localize it, because we understand the processes and the way of working and methodologies, adoption is much higher. If you take something that's built for the West, if you take something that's built for America, doesn't necessarily work if it's dropped down in India, doesn't necessarily work if it's dropped down in Singapore. And I think that's where that's where the localization, in my opinion, truly stands. So what we managed to do with PX is not only the entire AI analytics, we're able to layer on an entire complex real-time compliance. We're able to manage various stakeholders because of our different AI engines and models that we've built. And of course, the financial and ROI and regulatory integration. What took us the longest was to get regulatory integration, because at the end of the day, if any changes happen, if anything gets updated, we wanted direct access to the government and be able to integrate it completely. So the three advantages, in my opinion, that come out, which is the highest, is because we have embedded compliance. It's not just static or data; it is fully verified, vetted data. Because we've got advanced analytics, it just goes beyond basic real estate analysis. It's not a Zillow where you've just got listings. It actually goes deeper beyond that. Uh, and because we've tapped into thousands and thousands and thousands of data sources and sets, nobody in the region has been able to do that. So to me, it's not just a portal. It's not just a RAG model where you retrieve the information. We've created the infrastructure for the decision layer that's needed, not only for retrieval of data, not only for reasoning, but the tools and governance combined for that institutional grade technology. And I think that to me brings me to the Navigator that we've built. This is our first version of it. The next version is already underway. On the 1st of January, we have our launch of the V2. But effectively, as I mentioned, deal cycles go down, analyst prep times go down, accuracy goes up. We've got a lot of people using our platform now. Brokers are able to close deals faster because they're able to provide information to their clients to help them make a decision. So the greatest part of a startup, in my opinion, is achieving product market fit, getting traction, which proves that you've identified a niche and a business critical problem, right? A lot of startups have fancy pitch decks, have fancy ideas, have great vision. But if it's a good to have, and if you are well connected, you'll get money. Your company will go on for a bit. But if it's not a critical business need and a need of the hour, it's never going to convert. So to me, we really, as I mentioned, we started at B2C. We got some traction, but it wasn't great. We then pivoted to B2B, which was building sort of recommendation engines and a port and a platform and a deal platform for brokers. But brokers hated technology. And then we started seeing brokers actually hated technology but loved data. And if you were able to give them the data they needed to close a deal, that's when they got excited, because immediately when they sent it to people, we were able to tailor reports. If it was a first time home buyer, a far less complicated presentation would go. If it's a seasoned investor, a more complicated presentation would go. If you were a young professional and a couple, a different type of presentation would go. So that's where we wanted the institutional grade quality of data and due diligence, but at the same time, we wanted to make it as simple and easy for anybody to sort of pick up. And to us, we didn't want agents fighting data, but we wanted to advise them, help them to advise their clients for their decision. And the moment we empowered them, that's when they started adopting more and working with us. So what was really nice, as I mentioned, we started with the land department and the Dubai government there. And through them, we started understanding institutional issues and problems they faced. We then worked with the Dubai Chamber of Commerce, where we were part of the top 30 startups in Dubai. And truly, what's brilliant about the ecosystem here, business and government work completely hand in hand. So, as I mentioned, whenever there's any business cases that is needed, when we needed to embed compliance into our workforce, we needed transparency. The moment we presented what we wanted to do, which was create a transparent, infrastructure, government embraced us, right? They had APIs which weren't functioning. We worked with them for 6 months, and now we've built out the APIs that over 200 proptech startups in Dubai are using now, and now the government is selling it to them. So in that sense, we've worked with the government to help them find value which then the business ecosystem got value from because we supported the government on that. So that to me was really interesting, and I've loved working with the government here. So building trust with the government, especially in regions over here, is the most important part. Because if any business you set up in this region, if you're not tied into the country's vision, and the UAE has a phenomenal, very ambitious vision, 2040, 2080, D33, where they truly are trying to transform this entire region, attract the best talent, give them the ecosystem to thrive. And one of the ministers that we met, and I love what he said, is over the next 5 to 10 years, he wants every field in Dubai to be represented in the top three. So if it's healthcare, we want to be in the top three in healthcare. If it's technology, top three in technology. If it's prop tech, we have to be top three in prop tech. Gaming in Abu Dhabi, for example, you now have gaming visas that you can apply for, and you can go be a professional gamer. You can build gaming companies. You can do anything under the sun when it comes to gaming, for example. And of course, crypto and the usual other Charlies. Tokenization is a big one that has just been launched, where you not only with less than, I would say, $100, you can buy stake in a property worth millions of dollars. And fractionalization and tokenization and blockchain seems to be the real need of the hour, and the government is pushing it. But all this technology, in my opinion, needs the digital infrastructure and a unified ecosystem to connect the dots. And that's the value prop we propose to the government. And it's not just a portal for transactions, but it effectively is your entire infrastructure online and on chain. And I think for them, that's what they loved, was connecting the dots with all the data. So moving on to across industries, right? The same logic of these AI agents, the same logic of technology can be applied to finance, can be applied to healthcare, can be applied to logistics, effectively following the four metrics of the brain, the memory, the tools, the guardrails. If you start thinking on these macro levels and start drilling down, what exactly are those workflows that you need? What exactly are the business problems that are being faced? And how do you, I would say, interconnect that? I think that's where the fun really begins. And one of the projects we're actually working on that hasn't been announced yet is building what I'm calling is a city scale ERP system. So you have an ERP system, which companies obviously have been around for years, where it really studies and tracks the internal metrics and the business working of a company. But to me, I see at least within this region and living in Dubai, I see this nation as a large conglomerate and a large country, and being able to create a city ERP tech. To me, that is the exciting part that we're working towards. So as I mentioned, for us, Vision 2030 that we're connecting into is Dubai being the first AI native real estate market by 2030. And for that to happen, you need these infrastructural layers, right? As I mentioned, the institutional layers have to be here, whether it's data, whether it's technology and AI, whether it is the interface by which you interact with this technology, and of course the governance, which I mentioned was really important. The government fortunately has this in place, has the framework in place. People are implementing it. They have sandboxes in place. So if there isn't a solution out there, they've created a sandbox environment for you to test. They promote you, they give you investment, you test it out, then they roll it out to test it at a smaller scale. And if it proves worthy at small scale, they let you scale it outside the ecosystem. So for me, it's a city that standardizes, I would say, trustworthiness. And I think that decision loop that as technologists we operate within, it has to be measured. You have to be able to reproduce it. And at the end of the day, it has to be explainable. It has to be common sense. And that's the only way, in my opinion, you can scale with speed and at the same time have accountability. I think that's a very important part. So when it comes to research, in my opinion, we you have to create uh, scalable ethical guardrails, right? But the question then is, how do you maintain constraints across multi-level systems? How do you prevent real-time biases that happen in the frameworks you develop? Which also sort of complicates things, because at the end of the day, the most important is the accuracy, right? The most important is trustworthiness of it. And until we don't have that, that is always going to be this double-edged sword that we're and a fine line we're walking with. So to me, it's also about how do you measure good when it comes to technology. And to me, I see it as you have design quality, right? Which is how good is the quality of your design, or how good is the quality of your data and decision. Transparency helps as your second pillar, because the moment you have the transparency, it's defensible. You know the sources, you know the assumptions, and it gives you an X percentage output with accuracy. You kind of get that. You also, due to transparency, create a sense of equality, because you're making complex, hard solutions easily accessible and solvable, whether you're a Fortune 500 company or whether you're a chap sitting in his study in his room. The fourth part to me is reliability, and call it success, call it how often is a human escalation metrics going up, where technology is running, and how often did human intervention happen for you to solve it. And then the last is speed, the most important thing in today's day and age. And we're seeing it with AI. Every second, something new is evolving. From 2 years ago, when you needed to hire people to make websites, to typing in one sentence prompt and you get an entire website done, you get an entire back end built, you get an entire front end built. But are those scalable? They're not, because we've not reached that. So uh, for me, I think the academic opportunities that business can apply to academia is giving real world business projects and problems, working with academia to understand, be it a capstone project, or be it how would you put your white hats on and solve it from an academic standpoint, and does that white paper translate into reality? And I think the biggest gap that academia and business have is, uh, academia operates in the ideal world, business operates in the gray world. And if the two come together and combine, I think that's where a really exciting collaboration and sort of cross-domain pilots operate. And I think that to me is interesting. And I remember Farooq and Janet working very closely with various businesses and companies in the business world to connect the dots of academia. And I truly believe that is as the way forward. So as I mentioned, for measuring good, uh, these were the five parameters that we discussed. And the key takeaways to me, which is what I put together as three themes, is value, methods, and ethics. And I think, to me, if we're able to bridge these gaps and connect the dots, um, the cross domain, uh, I would say, beauty that will form out of these three themes uh, is living proof of what we're doing today with PX. Because we're taking technology, we're localizing it, we're harnessing it for good, we're putting in the right guardrails, we're giving it intelligence to help people take insights out, and deliver them the decision they need. So just questions to align with that I thought we should put out there. And happy to hear any questions or thoughts that you guys have. Hope you enjoyed it.
Okay, I'm going to start. Great job. Sridhar here. First of all, I'm glad that I can see the other doctors and professors in the family. Kudos, you have a fantastic son. This is an amazing work that you have done, so much of accomplishments. So I have just a computer science question. In all these cases that you have a person in the middle, which is a real estate agent, do you think the
Yeah.
future of AI is I put my requirements, there are no middle person, and the system automatically finds a place that I want to live? So there's no transaction that happens. Everything happens in the system, lives a
Yeah.
virtual world, and there's no need for people. I'm just thinking aloud.
Yeah, no, so that was my original business 2 years ago, which was the B2C side. Get rid of agents. All agents are crooks. They mislead people, and let's get rid of them. That was my original premise and business model. I was at Antler, which is a pre-seed venture capitalist accelerator program. Didn't get the funding primarily because you can't get rid of people. It boils down to uh, real estate at the end of the day is a very traditional business. It is human centric and it is an emotional decision. So that you have to understand different end users. So yes, if you're a first time home buyer, you're not going to trust technology, right? People have just got used to trusting technology to order things, trusting technology to research things, trusting technology to buy things. But when you're talking of millions of dollars or even $500,000, a decision of that scale and size, um, you want to talk to somebody, right? You want somebody to validate that opinion. Now, it depends. Sometimes you go to family members, you go to friends, whether they're subject matter experts or not. Sometimes you go to agents, but agents, in my opinion, uh, is a double-edged sword because they may have your best interest at heart, but 90% of the time they don't because they're just trying to maximize their commission. So I don't think the world and humans are ready to automate this entire workflow cycle. I would love it, and that's one of the things we've developed is you should be able to go 0 to 70% with technology. And then 70 to 100, you need the human interaction. That's our learning over the last 2 years.
Thank you, Kayan. Thank you, Dr. Sridhar, for the question. Any other questions we have?
Hope it wasn't too complex and all over the place.
Yeah,
I
Kaiyan,
tried to keep it as easy and hopefully my parents understand. My father's not going to understand it, but hopefully my mother will.
go to slide 24, Kaiyan, and take us through it again. I think that is a very important philosophical basis for both business and academia.
Yeah.
Okay. So could you take us through this and give us concrete examples from your experience?
For sure. So as I mentioned, let's talk of theme one, where agents create intellectual, economic, and social value. So the entire ecosystem that we have created, uh, where you take possibly the world's most complex and convoluted and difficult asset class, and you're able to dumb it down where you are able to give actionable insight, i.e., I have $2 million. Where do I invest that money? Fundamental question, right? How would you go about it? You would sit and research, you would sit in Google, you would talk to hundreds of agents, you talk to hundreds of developers. But the fundamental question is, should I buy a house? Should I buy an office? Should I buy a building? What will that money give you? So I think that's where if you're able to guide them, and the beauty, what we've done is because we've connected the land department data and information to the municipality data, which gives you the rules within which wherever you want to build, you have. We've then connected it to the road and transport. We've then connected it to the Dubai economy, the economic department. So you understand population, you understand spending power. So when I type in that question, I have 2 million dirhams or dollars to invest. what is the best value for money, it then tells you A, B, C. So it'll tell you invest in this area because your budget will give you XYZ options. You can further go into what is my investment strategy. I'm a first home buyer. I want to rent. I want capital appreciation. I want to invest in upcoming areas. I want to buy to let, buy to rent. I want to buy to build. So all these permutation combinations is what is taken from structured data, which then gives you an economic outcome which is positive versus negative. Because a live example I can tell you, there's a very hot area in Dubai called Jumeirah Village Circle, currently has 55,000 units. And everybody says, and it's the highest transaction value area. They're building, I would say, over 35,000 one-bedrooms over there, in addition to the 45,000 stock that's there. Every agent will tell you go buy in that area. Can I tell you two reasons why not? And the system will tell you that. Number one, because it's connected to the Dubai municipality. It understands city planning. It's Jumeirah Village Circle. The entire master plan is in circles. Circle city planning doesn't work. A grid system is a far more efficient system. A circle city planning doesn't work. Second level is we've understood that over the next 4 years, you have another 150,000 units that are going to come up, that are under construction, that have got approved. So the moment a broker or whatever you read in the paper tells you buy a one bedroom, buy a studio in Jumeirah Village Circle, it's the best investment, highest ROI, highest rental yield that you will get. What happens in 2027 when 120,000 or 150,000 units come in? Number one, that rental yield is going to get suppressed. Number two, you're going to get an oversupply. Number three, your population and the infrastructure is not going to support that. So you may have thought in 2025, it's a great opportunity, it's a great price, it's a great deal. But then the social value impact that you have, your residents or your tenants that are going to live there, or you as an end user that's going to live there, or you as an investor that you've invested in that area, goes for a toss. So that's on theme one. On theme two, as I mentioned, because of all this data that we've collected, thousands and thousands of data sets, you have the brain that has to compute it. The biggest gap we have right now, which is what we're addressing with the AI agents, is the memory. How do you get to that level 4 depth of accuracy? So if level 1 is 100%, level 2 is 94%, level 3 becomes 70%, and then level 4 is at 50%. So that's something that we're operating with to understand. Guardrails, as I mentioned, that to me is essential, because at the end of the day, you're advising people on very large transaction values. So you can't have somebody's investment go down. So having those compliance checks in place is extremely important. With regard to ethics, as I mentioned, the guardrails, the transparency, the equality of, if you had $1 million, if you had $10 million, if you had $100 million, you can hire smart money managers, you can hire smart family office, you can hire smart bankers, and the rich get richer, right? The average Joe never gets richer. He's stuck in that rat race. So if you're able to arm that person with the same amount of skill set that $100,000 a year buys you, that to me is bringing equity to the simple Joe on the street, is very important. And sustainability, as I mentioned, the vision of the nation is this, the focus of the nation is this. Every decision and move they're making is to make life better in this region. No longer is the Middle East an area which is hardship pay. I mean, in the olden days, if you traveled anywhere and you had a posting in this region, it was hardship pay. Today, you have a dime a dozen people lining up to move to this region. And that's because of the quality of life. It's because of safety. It's because of the infrastructure. It's because of everything here is up to date. A person sends an email to the government saying, this traffic, this road, we need a bridge over here. Within 3 weeks, and I'll give you a live example for this. 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, Dubai had the highest rainfall it's ever had in its history. within the hour, and flooding was incredible, damage was incredible. Every hour after the flooding started, the government was passing projects, was passing laws, was passing rules. The sheikhs were non-stop passing decrees to support and alleviate the problems. Within 3 weeks or after cleanup, they cleaned up the whole city came to a standstill for 3 days. And then it took them a further three weeks to get the roads fixed, to get the bridges fixed, to get the utilities back online. And the system was back and running. After 3 weeks, massive industrial infrastructure projects began. They allocated $100 billion for creating the drainage system of Dubai, that for the next 100 years, this issue will never come up. And work began within 3 weeks of the incident. Nowhere else in the world have I seen that sort of proactive approach to sustainability. Planting and trees were put in place, pods were put in place for soil erosion, drainages, and I would say city planning was reworked. Rules were changed where certain buildings were in low-lying areas that had to be shored up. And all the damages that the buildings had, the government passed two major laws. One was the developer had to bear the cost of all the leakages, all the fixing, which of course I'm sure the government helped them with. And the second part was the government passed a law not to allow insurance companies to raise premiums the next year because of this. And that to me really speaks about ethics of the government. I hope I covered the three, Farooq.
Thank you. Back to you, Avinash.
Yeah. Thank you, Kaiyan. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions?
Awesome. That's brilliant. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you joining for this session. Hope it was informative. And I will always say, move to Dubai. It's the best decision you'll ever take and make, and the happiest decision you'll ever make. Another point, Farooq, that you would actually love it. Sorry, this is a great thing. Every single government office is known as a happiness center. They don't have a government office. They're known as the label is happiness centers, and they realize and they go and they do spot checks. So they've got ministers who go. I mean, not secret shoppers that go, and if they see a line or a queue, they immediately hold people up to get stuff going. So it's incredible. Another live example, my driver's license was expiring. I got a text message on my phone at 10:30 in the morning that your license expires next week. Would you like to renew it? I hit yes on it. It then gave me an option. Would you like to pick it up or would you like home delivery? I clicked home delivery. And it was at 9:30 when I got the message, and 11:30 a hard copy, like a soft copy, came immediately, and then a hard copy was delivered to my house at 11:30. So within 2 hours, I had a government document in my hand. So
I'd like to add to the conversation here. Kaiyan has used technology, but for what purpose? To offer a service. What he has offered is a service, and he's used existing technology, synthesized it in an intelligent sort of way to monetize it. And so when we at a university keep talking about cutting edge technology, cutting edge this, cutting edge that, we may be missing the boat. We should be thinking in terms of providing smart services where we use the technology that we already have. And so that is something that I'd like to throw up for people to consider and comment on. Doyle?
No, for sure.
Doyle, Sridhar?
I was just going to make a comment at the very beginning of the talk. You mentioned that you, I don't remember what your phrasing was. It was something like your opposition to academia and learning or something like that. And I really feel like you have displayed that is not true for about the past hour.
Well, Thank you. Appreciate that. I think.
I was also going to mention that your driver's license story is. I just introduced my class to queuing theory this morning, and I think that we could. I'm envisioning a scenario where we're setting up, comparing and contrasting getting a driver's license in the U.S. versus getting a driver's license in Dubai, and what the systems efficiencies are on that. Sorry, I know that is not related to the question at all, but that's where my brain's going right now.
It's absolutely related because I was in America in the summer and I had to renew my driver's license in Philadelphia. I reached the DMV at 7:30 in the morning and I left the DMV at 4:30 in the evening. And to me, it just blew my mind from the ticketing system, non-existent ticketing system, to having to sit there, having to go desk to desk, one for the documentation verification, one for the stamping, then wait again, then one for the photograph. In Dubai, take a picture on your phone. That's your picture, and it's done. It's literally that. I'll give you another example of my golden visa. I submitted my documents at 9 o'clock in the morning at a center because a golden visa you needed to go in person. I got a message at 9:07 that my soft copy visa has been issued. And at 11 o'clock, I got my Emirates ID, which is your national ID, delivered to a coffee shop because the guy called me up saying, "Where are you? It's ready." And I said, "Can you deliver it?" And they delivered it. The way government works over here, it is mind-boggling at the speed and efficiency that they've got an entire, as I said, it's the Dubai Future Department. It's the Future Foundation. We were part of it as their early cohort, their first Dubai cohort with Antler, when I started my VC journey. And they have departments, a number of departments that are just focused on how do we solve issues 50 years ahead. They're futurists. They're not even thinking about the problems of today. They're thinking about in 50 years, what do we need to solve to make it livable today? And that's the foresight they've got. And on some level, I do believe democracy has failed the world. I do believe socialism has failed the world as well. But if you notice in the region, and I hate to quote Tucker Carlson, but he seems to be the flavor of the month for me. Monarchies seem to have done well in this region. But again, it's like-minded leaders who allow for continuity. So if you take the very first Sheikh of Dubai, Sheikh Zayed, he did say X. He then trained his son to do X plus Y. Then the grandson took X plus Y and built Z. And the next generation is now doing X plus Y plus Z plus A plus B. So you're building on a very firm foundation of you're not coming in to change and break down what was done in the past. You respect the past, you respect your culture, you respect your heritage because that's the most important part, but you also build for the future. And empowering their youth, empowering their community, I think is very important. Unlike other regions where expats rule the world, in these parts of the zone, in these parts of the world, the government now is pushing for smart Emiratization. And I think that to me is a very interesting model where they're taking the youth and the next generation and upskilling them. And they want them to be cutting edge and the best technology to stand out in the world and be, as I said, number 1, 2, 3. That's the mandate of the government. We have to be 1, 2, 3 in every single field. Education as well. They're coming up very big in Abu Dhabi, and it's fantastic.
Thank you, Kaiyan. Thank you, Doyle.
Thank
Do
you.
we have any other questions? Or we can open for chit chat then.